All right, we are back. These are your hosts, Tim,
Travis,
Herman.
And we are going to talk about relationships today. And not just any relationship, but a healthy relationship.
You don't want to talk about that.
what the hell do we know?
Herman has been... Herman has had his freedom for 24 hours. His balls have been out.
Yep.
Swinging all throughout the house.
Ball Johnson dance, just whoosh.
He done watched TV on every TV in the house, butt naked. He cooked himself
making popcorn.
a good.
I spent $1,000 on the food that I want and ate it in every room.
Perfectly buttered popcorn.
It was a relay of Door Dashers just handing the baton. You back again, Crumble? What flavor did they have?
Hey, look, man, I was too tired to even order Crumble, man. All I wanted was that, what was it, the buttered toast cookie from Crumble? No, not buttered toast. French toast.
DoorDash crumble?
Yeah.
Please do not let that get out.
It's already.
Oh, no.
Crumble
It'll
already
be out in 7 business days.
Crumble already delivers. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's
very popular around my house.
The Crumble app might be the best app. I thought that Chipotle had a really good app for bringing me food.
Chipotle delivery is the worst.
Not if you
When
live
we do the
3
kids,
minutes.
nah, man. When we do the kids meal, they never put the beans or rice in there. It's like this little dried up piece of bean. It's like, what just happened? It's the worst. Unless you order for yourself, you know, they might be right. But anyway, we digress. Herm, tell us about your glorious weekend.
Man, let me tell you, the past 24 hours have been something I haven't had it in years, right? Like my entire home just to myself. Wifey took the kids, birthday party. So it was just me and a bunch of animals in the house. You know who else was an animal?
Like Dr. Doolittle. like Dr. Doolittle.
There was only one getting fed.
Dude, I was like, look, you animals can eat in the morning. I have laziness to accomplish. I have things to think about in my brain space in this bed or on this couch while watching all this football with no interruptions. Oh, my God.
I do think it's wonderful sometimes just to be able to enjoy the crib just by yourself.
I don't think I've been in the house by
in.
myself with nobody there for like 2 years because wifey works from home. The kids are always there. Love my wife and my kids. Don't get it twisted. But let me say.
We might twist it up in this episode. Just
No questions? No questions. Nobody prompted me for snacks or food or juice or daddy whatever.
You was just cuddling on the couch with your little kitty cats.
Hey, look, I could have gone to bed by 10. I was like, man, this is
AM.
I don't even know what to do. I went to Gates and I just got all the barbecue, all the beans, all the extra crispy
Hi,
fries.
man. You was like, yes, you may.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Let me tell you about
beef on
this.
bun, please.
Slab to go that doesn't need to be shared with another soul. A full half chicken.
You're just sitting there looking at bones, huh?
You got a slab of half chicken,
Yeah, dog.
3 sausages. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your. Well, all right. So she just took them for the day. So it wasn't really 24
They
hours.
will be
You
back
had
in less than 24 hours, but we're going to call it 24
like
hours.
12 hours.
They'll be back this afternoon.
Okay. So, all right. So you had this freedom, which is very important as far as I'm concerned. I've always been a proponent of balance. And I think balance is the key to a healthy anything, right? So like everything in moderation. And I think I might have like a semi-addictive personality. Like if I do one thing, I'll just go like all in and make bad decisions about everything else for like a short period of time, but it'll be intense.
Do it.
I'd be like, oh, that was a little much. Let's just dial that back. But eventually I'll get there. And when you find that balance.
So if you get a man day like that, what does it look like for you? Because his
was
a man day. A man day, you know. So he got football, he got barbecue, he got quality time. What does it look like?
I mean, it's not too dissimilar.
Dog, it's so relaxing.
It is. I mean, you just don't want to do anything, right? Yeah. So I would have put the gym in there because that is doing me.
That's why them shoulders looking so strong.
And they're shrugging.
This guy.
Right? And I would have had a smile on my face, right? Because it wouldn't have taken me an hour to get to the gym because I didn't have 2 toddlers in tow.
Right.
I wouldn't have to go swimming and put 2 buns on a little girl's head and then put a swimming cap on and then worry about a little boy's feet touching the disgusting floor in the bathroom, I wouldn't have to worry about any of that.
You know what the funniest thing was? Sorry, not to cut you off, but I'm like, it was the amount of time, right? Like nothing took any time. I could just leave. Bro, so by the time I had because I went and did normal stuff, I grabbed the dog's pig ears to chew on because I keep them occupied, and I stopped by Best Buy. I did all this stuff, and I'm like, oh shit.
In a short amount of time, I still got the rest of the day.
In 45 minutes, and I was like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, man. So it's it's good to just not have to listen to anyone, hear any other opinions, perspectives, wants, needs. It's just you. And it's mentally peaceful, right? So you don't have to do much.
But it's also funny because you want to do much in this limited time frame.
So my itinerary will be hella long, and I'll probably do 50% of the things, but it's 100% more than what I would have did on a regular Saturday. So
right.
What would you have done?
Well, it would have been very similar to what Herman did. I would have loved to get some Gates barbecue. That's high on the list, but definitely some football. I probably would add golf. Maybe
there you go.
Maybe throw in a little golf in there. But mainly just lounge and not do the little things like make up the bed.
Make up the bed? Y'all making up beds?
I'm still haven't left the bed.
Yeah. No, I'm still in the bed.
The things that you do for her.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
You don't have to do.
Don't have to do. I wouldn't.
Cabinets all open.
It's a good chance I slept.
Every door's open,
bro. I
might sleep on top of the sheets. You know what I'm saying?
I actually redid the bed in the best sheets and just slept all over the sheets.
You know what I'm saying? Just the little things.
So that's funny. When wifey goes out of town, I do sleep on her side.
Oh,
shut up. I'm not sniffing the pillow or anything. But she just has the convenient side. She's right there. Right there is where's the bathroom. Me, my daily sacrifice, I got to walk all the way around the bed. Nope.
I just want my body weight to reshape that side, you know what I'm saying? So it's less comfortable.
Sabotaging.
Yeah.
All right. So you had a very simple man day.
It was
peaceful.
It was so good, man.
Yeah.
It was. You just don't get those all the time.
I mean, I haven't seen you come in with a smile like this. And
man. My car even
so you actually had a horrible morning because
guess what?
You woke up
didn't
to the death.
even care. Did not
no
care
worries
at all. As soon as we get done with this, I got to call AAA or get a job. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter.
They're gonna come. Oh, you have how many hundreds of thousands of miles on this car, sir? What did you expect?
I'm like, well, you jump it, take it. I'll keep the little AAA van.
All right. So that in of itself is an insight. When you have peace of mind, the little things or even the big things like not having transportation don't fuck with you as much.
No.
Right?
Like you just what's the worst thing that happens? I stay here in this bed? Shit.
Herman sent the text like, hey, so my car's not starting.
Hooray.
Wink face. We can cancel today. Praying hands. Or T, you could come get me, ?
Right. You see how...
Just let him off the hook.
Hands up in the air. Emoji.
Look, the day,
T wasn't having it though.
Yeah.
He got us both out of bed. Because I was like, I'm cool either way.
Right?
Well, I bet you were.
I certainly was. Speaking of healthy relationships.
Yeah, man.
All right. So you had a great day. You're in a great mood. You're taking things in stride. The first thing that you come in to talk about is all the mistakes you have made and lessons learned in your previous relationships. So I'm seeing some sort of journey that you have, you kind of come to a summit where you found some really healthy balance. You feeling good, and now we're going to reflect on how we got here, right? Because I could say I'm in a very healthy relationship.
It's no shock that when he had free time, he became pensive.
Get him?
Dog.
Go ahead.
No.
All right. So all right. You. I feel like I may be projecting, but I feel like you're at a good moment to talk about the trials and tribulations that got you to where you are today and where you can go further now that your eyes have been open for this 12 hours worth of free time. And I know
No,
it's not just that that spurred this episode, right? Like this was already kind of in the works, but
true. I reflect on a lot, and I think about people that struggle often. And so like in my time reflecting, like I thought about like what does a good relationship look like? What did I not know about a good relationship? Right, like as a young Thundercat, you're out here seeking all this extra. But whenever you get past some of that, I'm like, you know what? This is a great spot to be in, right? Like I'm in the comfort of my own home. I got this peace. I'm just generally happy, man. I feel like a lot of people just aren't happy. Maybe everybody is happy. I don't know, but yeah, I would love to share like
I mean, I think
what it is.
I mean, relationships have been a topic amongst the three of us recently because we have a guest coming on soon who wrote a book, and so we're prepping and getting prepared mentally, you know, as we proceed. But I think that it's a real cool feeling to just be able to be at peace to the point where you can sit back and discuss things that have happened, your journey, and how you got from point A to point B. So we look forward to hearing how you got from point A to point B.
Here we go. He acts like I can't ask questions back.
I can definitely take it, but it's pause. But I think that we're in a real good place. So let's have that conversation.
Go. Ask me whatever you want, playa.
You're funny.
I'm not answering that.
All right, let's start with a good one. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship?
Absolutely.
Because in the last episode, what did I ask you? Have you ever been cheated on? You were like, probably. It was a quick reaction.
I thought about that after I said it. And I'm like, wait a minute. But that did not really full context of what that was men are shitty.
Numbers, man.
Yeah, I'm like, men are
are
shitty. I'm like, and if I was, which I wouldn't care, I also kind of wouldn't care because I probably also was. So, you know, like it was, I answered real quick. But I think that there's certain assumptions that you need to make during the dating phase, right? Like it would be weird for you to meet somebody, right? Like that's not involved with other people. Like, so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, if I like this person, like I should assume that they might, you know, be in another relationship before they jump out or whatever that is. So
sure,
I don't know.
That's very interesting.
Well, I mean, I personally think you just have to prep yourself for every worst case scenario, which means whatever truth lies within that, it doesn't sting as much, right?
But that's 40-year-old Herman reflecting. 20-year-old Herman wasn't thinking like that.
When I think back, I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't think that I ever actually was in love with most of the people I dealt with, like not even close, potentially.
I've come to that realization myself.
Yeah, because there were things that I'm like, you think that relationship was so whatever, but then you realize like, oh my God, like there were so many things that were not.
You had a 20-year-old heart, 20-year-old mind. You had no idea what you were doing.
I also had a 20-year-old. But I mean, I don't think you know what love is. Like, I really think that you're trying to find that. And if you think that love is something that's described in a song or a movie, then that's kind of what your compass is. But you don't really truly know what love is until, you know, you mature and go through some things.
You understand every aspect of the human condition, right? Like young love is sexual experience and enjoyment of a person that is pretty surface level, right? Like it's not like a deep commitment or a deep understanding of the depths of that person. Maybe
it's not a deep interaction.
Yeah, right.
Like you're not going through things. You live totally separate lives, and so you meet on occasion. And yeah, it's easy for that, you know, that hour, that 2 hours, or that 5 minutes passing through the hall to be the best experience of your life. To make you feel like you're in love.
And it's so like, I think about how many relationships. I'm like, you're not really talking about broader goals. You're not talking about, you know, family and background. Like you're not actually connecting sometimes, right?
Actually, so my pitch was that I wanted to open up this international school of art for children.
Okay.
And I would always lead with that.
Game.
Like, well, now you're just spitting game.
So
we don't want that.
I was talking about big goals. I'm just saying.
They're like, you're a freshman at here at FAMU talking about opening up. Get out of here.
Bro. 17-1, man. 17-1.
Game. That's a good
Had to do my part.
Lofty goals.
Anyway.
Oh boy.
Sorry. So toxic relationship,
how do you
bro.
follow that?
Toxic relationship. Have you been in a toxic relationship?
Yes.
And I've actually never thought about this until I saw this question.
Yeah. It
You have?
looks, oh my God.
Describe
Yes.
give this experience to us.
Hey, look. So this experience really let me understand how kind of sheltered I was growing up in the middle. Like I had never been
In your
around.
boat?
Yeah, a certain personality type that was really. I'm going to say that this person had a true hustler's mentality and was willing to do and say whatever to like latch on and stay connected. And I really didn't know how to escape that because I'm like I grew up nice. Like at some level, I didn't know how deep to question like. Well, what you're saying are not things that people lie about, like
Right.
being enrolled in college or like big lies. I'm like, what the? And then you find this stuff out. I'm like, who lies about that?
Right.
I'm like, it was very toxic from their perspective, but I'm like, I'm also not above saying that I too could be toxic, right? So I'm like, lesson learned. People can lie about some pretty big stuff, but there's also some things that I probably should have picked out initially that I just chose to
ignore.
Yeah.
For the joy of the relationship.
Well, I don't even know.
Because if it was toxic, right, then there's typically like a high.
Yeah.
A lot, like a big variance between the highs and the lows in the toxic relationship.
Yeah. Well,
there's no even kill, right? Because if we go back to this is my answer for the episode, is balance. And that's where a healthy relationship lives.
That was
and the toxicity.
This relationship was so imbalanced, and I just didn't know how to get away from it. And to get away from it came with a lot of heat, right?
Yeah.
Like just the crazy things people do. And I'm like, I don't even think it was me being special more than this want for or this person's want to not feel rejected or feel like they were lesser than, because possibly they had landed on maybe what appeared to be like a gold mine, like I was something to covet. And I'm like, I'm just a dude out here making money, living life. Yeah. I don't think I'm anything that special. But this person saw more in me than probably what I was, and they were not willing to give that up, but also willing to go to extreme lengths.
Yeah.
To I don't know, just to do some crazy stuff. And specifically, it would be around the lying.
So what was their motivation for duping you?
So I think that the motivation was they were probably in a tougher spot than they put on, which I probably should have figured out, which meant that, I could, help with money here and there. But I'm like, I really didn't know. And it's not like I was passing off money like here, but it's just like, my issues weren't the same. And I didn't know what those issues were until after the fact. I'm like, oh, you were lying about where you lived, like that you were doing all these things.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's crazy, man. Like I am not a liar. Like I'm sure at some points I've lied or lies of omission people,
right.
Or,
you're a dude.
Yeah. Like just not serious about things. Exactly. I'm like,
this is true,
but I'm easily forgivable because I'm quite enjoyable. So
that's funny.
It's
self-proclaimed.
True. It's true. What?
Self-proclaimed.
No, but, like when you're focused, like, it's funny because I feel like as an individual, like I could be balanced because like while the craziness is going on behind the scenes, I'm still focused on my goals, my passion, my drive, my earnings. Like, what am I going to do with this money? How am I going to save? I'm going to hit these goals.
You got to bounce it out.
Yeah, like I got this craziness in the back, but I'm like not even thinking about that. Even when it rears its ugly head, it's still just something to manage because I'm still focused on me being selfish with life at that time. I mean,
that is 40-year-old Herman talking, because 20-year-old Herman wouldn't have called himself selfish.
That is also true. But I mean, yeah, like once you hit our age, or like once you have the child, I mean, you can do one of two things, right? Like you can support or not support or whatever that's going to look like. I chose to, if you have this last name Watson, you're going to be supported. You're not going to be out here being a Watson that is, just elsewhere. Right? Like I'm going to devote myself to making sure you're going to be a good person, a good part of society, impactful. And yeah.
So this toxic relationship was pre-kid?
Yeah, it was pre-kid.
I tell people, man, and when you have a kid, it puts like 4 years of age and wisdom on you, like real quick.
Yeah.
And if you can figure out how to use that in the right way.
Yeah, like you look at somebody that 100% has to rely on you. Like, it's hard to turn your back on that. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe, right?
No, it is. When you have somebody who's dependent on you, you get invested in that, and it really does shift the priorities.
Yeah. Or you constantly think about how you can be better at it if you can't do what you need to do at that time, right? Like that's the mature thing to do, or like it prompts you to have bigger goals or try to achieve even more, to be more supportive, even in messed up situations, because it's always going to have like your highs and lows, right? And I don't know, I just look at everything kind of on this timeline of like what I might not be able to do then. I'm definitely going to try to think through how I can do more later, right? But it's a process. It takes time.
So what would you say is your most toxic trait that you give to a relationship, Herman?
I probably let things fester. Like if something's going, like I don't know. I don't want to, to your point, I'm like, I don't want to act like, anyway, I can be extremely patient and like.
This isn't an interview, sir. Oh wait, I guess it is.
Yeah.
What's your biggest weakness?
Here's my biggest.
Way too patient.
I think mine is I have a way of letting things linger that allow for lack of commitment, right? Like unclear communication. And I don't know if that's a toxic trait.
That was like 3 toxic traits.
Is it?
It's a bundle.
Yeah.
You bumbled your home, auto, and boat.
Well, I think about like some relationships I've
He's
been
like
in.
bad communication.
Hey, look, some relationships I've been in have come about because 1, I was just too busy. 2, it was just like kind of going back to this person with unspoken what we are, but preferring not to talk about what this is, right? And just like letting a relationship just kind of form
Right.
out of my lack of
Care.
Yeah, right? Like maybe I was too selfish. Maybe I just didn't care enough because this is a moment in time. Like maybe I didn't see it then, but I'm like, dude, that's kind of really messed up. Like, oh, you got this person over here wondering what this is, and it's like every interaction you're like, let's avoid that topic altogether.
Yeah.
But I don't really know if that's toxic, but I mean, I would imagine that behavior carries into just about every other thing. So it's like you, at the end of the day, don't really know who I am because we're not having deep conversations. We're not actually getting to know one another. And you throw out a heavy question. It's like, skirt. Go ahead and dodge that.
Okay.
What, man?
Oh, boy.
Mr. Brown, what is your most toxic trait?
Spins gun over. My most toxic trait? That's a tough question. Thinking about
Easy
it.
question.
I know, right? Like I got so many
My
answers.
man's lack
to
of
this for you.
communication.
Duh.
Absolute lack of
All right,
communication.
First of all,
Next episode.
He's got no emotion.
Done.
first of all, y'all don't know me like that.
Every argument sounds like an HR, right? He's like, thank you for sharing that perspective with me. Just thank you for bringing that to the table.
Oh
I
my
appreciate your
God.
honesty.
I can tell that there's been some improvement made. That's funny.
Okay, if it's not that, what is it?
Well, I ain't saying that don't happen. Most toxic trait? God, I'd probably say my most toxic trait would be that, I mean, I got a lot of, I'm too patient too. That kind of hits home.
Rip off.
But I would probably say the most toxic trait is,
Yeah, dimples.
God, I'm trying to think.
If you bring it to my attention,
It's just not fair.
I will manage it like the rest of the people I manage on a day-to-day basis.
No, I would say that, I think the one thing that I struggled with for years was I was probably too scattered. So like nothing, you have my
Making up
attention.
shit.
You have my attention, but I have so many different vested interests that you don't have my undivided attention. So, you get these moments of you feel like I'm locked in, but then you feel like when I'm not around, I'm not around. Like when I'm off with work or I'm off with whatever else I was interested in at the time. So people just feel like there's a void. And so like I've had to kind of work on that in relationships. You prioritize a little bit better. But I didn't do well for that for years. Like I would, if something happened to a friend, I would be there and then maybe forego responsibility to the relationship, and it's just like failure to prioritize. So
bros over hoes, man. That's what we call it. Bros over hoes.
So
there's your toxicity.
So scattered, I would say that I would.
He's such a good friend that he's a bad boyfriend.
Right?
I would say failure to provide undivided attention would be difficult. That'd be one. That'd be the one that's unique.
Yeah. Tim?
Bro, we all have the same toxic trait. When you're not in the relationship, when you're not with the one that makes you feel different in this respect, it's just not going to work because we are too selfish. We are too selfish. Why are you scattered all through the place? It's because you're working on you. You're trying to do you. You're trying to reach your goals. You're trying to do you. Your dreams. Or this is your time.
You're trying to be everything to everybody.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's what fills you up. Those are your concerns. And when you put all of that and you try to make a relationship work in that, you're right. It is divided. And you have to be 100%, not 99.9, 100% committed in order to achieve balance in a relationship.
Bro, I feel
because if you give that commitment, you'll get it back. And that's where the balance comes. And then you have those Saturdays by yourself with your balls out. You can watch football uninterrupted for how many hours on a Sunday. You can go and podcast with your boys every week for 3 years straight, right? Because you have that balance, you have that trust, and that person knows that you're always looking out for them and not just yourself. It's selfishness. Mic drop. But it'll be too loud.
It is. No, that was a perfect explanation, and I could not agree more. And as I think about what that's like, how that selfishness plays out, it actually does play out in kind of what I was saying when like falling into a relationship based off of lack of communication. But that does not stop infidelity, right? Like it's not like, not only am I not committed to this, like I still like am looking for who's going to fit into my broader goals, like on a selfish level. So that might not have been this person. I probably never thought about that then. But thinking back, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
It's like it's the thing. But the thing that I extracted from his soliloquy was that
good use of soliloquy, dog.
Thank you very much. Was you feel like you're being selfless and you're really being selfish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because that's where I was taking it next. And that's the worst trait ever is when you fool yourself to think you're the martyr, you're selfless, you're doing all these things for all these people when really you're not doing shit for anybody that is of anything because it's all for yourself. Episode over. Move to season 4. Let's go. No, I mean, for real. For real.
That's what leads to the friction because people tell you what they're not getting from you, and you're like, whoa, nah. You keep receipts yourself. You're like, nah, I was here, I did this, and I heard this, and I listened to that, and I didn't even respond to that. I did this, and I did that, and did this, but I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. So it's like finding that balance, of what's proper and what's not. And I mean, I think the longer you're in a relationship, perhaps. Maybe there's an arc, like you start early and you don't have to get invested. Then there's a peak point of where, people need you undividedly. And then as you then probably get, double digit years, then maybe it kind of, regresses a little bit where, we've got norms set. We can be on autopilot on certain things. And now maybe I don't need you, but you still can't neglect what you've built in these norms.
Yeah.
And if you neglect the norms, then we have a problem, Houston. But then at the same time, you can kind of find, some balance and creativity and everything isn't so much rigid in how you need to commit your time and energy. I don't know. That's just a hypothesis.
Yeah. I mean, I've proved that hypothesis is correct. I've tested it. And you're right. I mean, we're talking about true love here. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason we all live.
He put on his quiet storm voice.
You know what I'm saying?
DJ Easy.
But because I think that once you go through all of the shit together, it builds like this connective tissue where like you're connecting in other places that you haven't been focused on. But like when you fuck up or they fuck up and you work through that shit, like you grow every single time. If you're communicating, right? If you're not growing and you're both just fucking up, then you're just building scar tissue that's gonna, separate you two, and it's never gonna work.
Dude.
So you can't be overly patient,
Right.
and let shit fester.
Yeah.
To your, your toxic trait. You got to be communicative, right? To your toxic trait, and you just you can't be selfish.
The communication factor is so important, and I know that's like a baseline thing, but I think people forget how important it is. And it's not just like talking every day. It's actually like intentional questions to actually get to know somebody on a deeper level, because that's where you figure out how, like, wifey and me, we still to this day find out new things that are new similarities that we have just based off of like interests. That is like, oh shit, you were doing that too at this. You had the same ringtone, like crazy, like really obscure stuff, 80/20? Right? But I'm like, those come from situations or like deep questions, because you know me, I'm like always thinking about shit, and so not only that, but I'm like, you figure out their perspective on like how so many things play a role, whether it's like their spirituality might come out in how they view an approach to something that you never even thought of.
Yeah. Well, and as time goes, right, you go through different experiences, right? Especially if you have kids, you take that step, or you home ownership, in-laws. I mean, there's so many dynamics that just get, you just get like go through the gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
You just have to ebb and flow and fight these things, these battles together. And when you win, that just brings you closer together. But when you lose, as long as you communicate and learn from the freaking lessons, you can also still win. But like in my experience, I read an article that said men do not reach full maturity until they are 40.
I would 100,000% agree with that,
bro.
I mean, it's.
Hey,
you think you know everything by like 35, I would say. I felt like I knew a lot by 35.
Man, you thought you knew everything your entire life.
That's not necessarily true.
Come on now.
I just know that my direction
Herman thought he was the smartest in the room.
No.
He had a boat. Okay.
He had the best captain. I'm on a boat.
Man, I think, when you come up,
I grew up confident in everything that I did.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that. That is what it takes to survive and to push to build a life for yourself.
But I think that it's the moments in time that like you see how a partner might react to a career change or to just the hardest parts of life, that even when you're in your selfish phase, right? Like how that person responds to that, like, oh, now they're down and out because they're depressed, but that person could be more supportive or whatever that is. Sometimes those needs don't get filled, right?
Yeah, I would say that you're definitely right about the 40, because by the time you're 40, life has thrown just about
almost everything it can,
towards you. You've probably went through some relationship issues. You probably went through some work issues. You probably had some friends go south. You probably had
death in the family.
You probably had some financial challenges you needed to deal with because of some self-inflicted wounds.
That's why we have so many episodes of content.
Yes. So
because we've been through that shit.
Yeah, because you by 40, you're probably like, okay, I didn't seen it all. Now, I mean, there's other things that come down the line. Of course, you never seen everything.
But I think that's the best part about 40 is that you know how much you don't know by 40.
Yes, exactly.
And if you're 40 with kids, you also realize every day is a learning day because of the shit that comes up from these little children. They're like, how do I manage that? I don't even know how to respond to some of the craziness that comes out. Right. But then you also build that intentionality behind what have I learned and how do I communicate that? And you do it or at least you should be doing it on an everyday basis.
So I didn't mean to change this into a midlife crisis part 2 episode, but the whole 40 thing, it's just like, I know we're 40 and like, it's got, like when you turn 40, like it gets kind of a hold on your mental, right? Like it's kind of a perspective that you see. It's a lens that you see a lot of things through. And one of the things, when you have kids Because like you've had these 40 years, of life experiences, lived experiences, right, that we're talking about that make you more wise, which allows you to better manage your relationships. But when you have kids, now you're kind of back to this same challenge of relationships.
Yeah.
Is where you have to be 100% selfless because it's not for you anymore. It's not for you. It's about the kids that you are raising and the life that you want them to have. And so that's where I am right now. And even, and me and wifey, and we battle this because we're both, very aggressive and like we still haven't reached our goals. So it's like, all right, so this is me telling myself to sit back and build this life for my kids, like make sure it's about them when I'm still not feeling fulfilled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so.
And then there's an element on there that you haven't really got to yet, but you can probably feel a little bit. And that is you're doing all this for somebody who doesn't truly understand, which is where you're at,
right,
or where he's at and where I'm at, doesn't appreciate.
Well, and it's not even appreciate. It is appreciation in addition to my generation does it different. And I'm like, your generation is no different. I've told my daughter, look, little boys, they're going to be little boys until they're in their 30s. So don't get hung up on anybody because they're all stupid. You think I'm special. I was just as dumb as the rest.
Bro.
Just as selfish as the rest.
We all thought we were special.
Bro, I'm like.
But when you see you go through some stuff, right? Like you go through some stuff within the day. You make some decisions, you do things, and then you have a teenager who like talks back to you, like who, oh, you didn't do it this way, or why didn't you do this? Or they start to feel comfortable within their own selves because they're closer to looking you in the eye. So then they just start talking back just recklessly, and you're just sitting there like,
let it out, T. Let it out, man.
Well, I ain't necessarily speaking for me on this one. But it's like,
but you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, speaking from experience. Yeah, but like in somebody looking at you, in you just kind of like, hold on, time out.
Did you just talk to me out the side of your mouth?
Dude, the weirdest thing about kids is the relationship dynamic is they think that things are so different, and I'm like, nothing ever changes.
Everything you're doing,
I'm like,
I did to my parents.
Well, they think
like,
they have
you wanna
ownership. Like that's what's crazy.
You want to go to a party? You want to have a slumber party at a friend's house? No. Like at this age, right? Because I'm like, that meant a lot of things in high school, right?
Yeah, they think they call shots.
Back to the toxic relationships that we had been in.
I recently had a discussion with a teenager, going back and forth, right? And after we played tennis once, bam, serve, bam, brought it back. Then brought it back to me. I said, "Oh, we're not going back. We're not
trying to make top 10.
No, we're not going back and forth. Like it is what it is. Like I said what I said, and they just okay. Like but like the fact that they
agree
were gearing
to disagree,
up,
Travis.
Gearing up for and to believe that the back and forth was okay.
And here's the thing. We might not have done that because we would have got popped in the mouth.
Yeah, there was no back and forth.
But we was thinking it.
We
was thinking it. We wouldn't have said it. Now they bold and they saying it. And the thing is, to your point, Herm, like nothing's different.
Dude.
Like it's the same shit, different technology.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
it, man. And even that, I'm like, the technology can change, but the behavior stays the same. Like you're gonna lie to get your independence to do things that I would say no to.
Right.
And you're gonna do that all of the time, and I'm aware of that. And no, Dad, I'm a good. No, you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me.
Yeah. My dad.
Bro, they would look you in the eyes.
Be like, you can trust me. I don't. I won't.
Thinking they are the best liar.
Yeah.
Because because I thought I was the best liar.
Right.
And now I'm like, my mom was just like, okay, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go ahead to
wear a condom.
You go ahead to Desmond's. Sleep over.
Yeah. Because 16-year-old young men have sleepovers.
Why is that white caviar with the lights off running under the tree in the front of the house?
Jesus.
But, so we're, with kids, right, we're having these battles, these back and forths, really trying to raise them. Like, and this is where it just as a parent, I start deflecting in this relationship because I don't want them to be like I was.
I know.
Because now that I'm 40, I'm reflecting like, oh, these were very toxic traits. How can I prevent him from? No, I can't, man. Okay. So how can I at least hemorrhage, some of the bleeding that will come after it is teaching them those skills like open communication.
Hey, look, so I was going to say the same,
expressing yourself, if you have issues. And
the same components of a healthy relationship or a healthy marriage are the same components that would make for raising a teen healthy too, which would be like good communication, mutual respect, and what that looks like, right? Like, because I can respect my daughter's opinion, even though I know she's lying or has some intention. I just got to get ahead of what that is.
Yep.
But if you actually respect each other well enough, either one, maybe they're telling the truth, right? But at least you can manage whatever the outcome is, because they're going to have the freedom to make whatever decisions. You just want to make sure that they're safe ones.
Yeah, none of us are raising our kids like we were raised. And so they do certain things that are very similar, of course. Like, I guess the schematic of it or the fundamental of it is the same, but they're not us. We were more hardened shelled than they were. And they're more emotionally vulnerable and loving, I think because we're raising them.
And they're raised in a different world.
Hey, look, I think that they can get fixated on an aesthetic. I think
we're so much different, right? Like, I'm sure you tell your kids you love them way more than you were told.
We are our parents evolved. Absolutely.
My parents did not say it. Really? I knew it. But I
think we're getting somewhere.
I think somebody would probably.
We're getting somewhere.
I think somebody would differ with that.
I think we just had a breakthrough moment.
No, my parents.
Travis, continue to unpack this, please.
My parents weren't like all the time. It would come up occasionally, but my son has to have that. Like he
demands it.
He demands it
because you gave it to him all the time.
Because I gave it to him. I set that seed. And
yes.
It's also
and I love it.
It's also what, his mother probably does that a lot too.
Yeah.
And I'm not around as much as my father was. So, he doesn't, I probably annoyed my father or my mother more. Like, you see somebody all the time. It's just like, I
mean, your parents were
paying for a baseball bat.
They were showing their love through acts of kindness, right? Like, exactly. Boy, you got food on your table every day. I'm right here. I'm checking your homework. Like, my son, this is my love.
My son, as we get through these, I see where you're going here with these love languages.
Did you finish the book?
My son has to have the words of affirmation, and he'll say it. And I'm just like, golly, brother. Like,
I love you, but I can't say it so many times in public. It feels a little weird.
It feels like I'm watering it down. Like I'm saying too much is watered down. But it's like, I mean, it's just one thing I know,
right? I would tell you I love you every day. Shit, I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah. So
multiple times a day
with my son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
morning,
God.
lunch.
You end every
dinner.
Text message with "Love you, son."
I can't even express how many times it's said.
How does that make you feel?
Well, there was a time where I needed him to know that. I needed, because I wasn't sure what he was getting on the other side. I was pretty sure that he was getting it. He was getting words that were disparaging, and I was really probably driving that home. But what built from that is, the constant want for words of affirmation. And so now, I'm kind of like, we've established this, right? Like,
you know Daddy loves you, right?
Like, we don't have to do that. Okay.
But he's like, no, I don't know, Dad. Why don't you tell me again?
It just goes to how different, because when I had kids that were Tim's kids' age, I always talked about how things are going to go as he grows.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. It ain't going to be this. It ain't going to be that.
Spoke that shit
because I thought I was going to have to build a boy or to a man who had to be hardened. But the fact of the matter is that he's just a naturally more compassionate human being, and I love who he is. Right? And I have said, okay, like, I don't need to put what was pressed upon me onto him. I just need to make sure that the lessons.
Man, you ain't got to worry about him being a big old huggy bear. You a big old huggy bear. It's okay to be sensitive.
I'm a grizzly bear.
You ain't hard, nigga.
I'm a grizzly bear.
He out here acting like it's hard for him to do with all them dimples. My man got 30,000 dimples, dog.
Hey, man, I'm versatile. I'm versatile.
Oh man, it's also really is interesting that we kind of focus or fixate on this, because it's also like we're this is happening at a time where like they hadn't quite hit puberty, right? So like that obviously plays a major factor in how aggressive or whatever changes he's going to have later on.
Just hit puberty.
But I'm just saying. So I'm like,
okay, apparently we're not mature at 41,
right? Tim, this guy,
39, bro.
Puberty.
My voice got deep at 40. Got my dad's strength. Man.
No, but it's just funny because I'm like, I don't know, like all those things, like you kind of like it's easy to forget. It's like, man, why does this kid want all this love or to be told this 1,000 times a day? And then you realize changes might be happening in the next 3 years to where it could be totally different.
Yeah, in a few years, you know, he's gonna look at me and be like, I'm just not gonna know anything. He's gonna feel like
he's gonna say, "I love you, Dad," once a quarter.
He's gonna feel like he can square up because he's taller. Because I remember when I hit 6'1". Like, and I remember looking in my father's eyes and being
testing
like,
him and being like, "Oh, he got that old man strength."
I remember looking and being like, you know, if something were to go down, I think I'm ready.
And your daddy knew what you was thinking. He was like,
room.
"Boy, get them thoughts out of your head. I'm still
old
your daddy.
Man strength is different, though.
I'm still your daddy."
Yeah, he's
I've heard that so many times.
He was looking at me, just he was purposely doing things just to put me in my place along the way.
Yeah, he knew it was coming.
I put these gators
he
so
did it
far
with his
up there.
daddy.
He ain't ever got whooped by a man in a Harold Pinner suit. Oh man. Nobody wants to get whooped by
Snake skins hurt,
a
bro.
45-year-old man in a $100 suit. Oh
But he got two of them, man.
and that gold chain, boy.
One was 80% off.
Get two suits.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Buy one, get one half off with a gold chain and a sandwich. Shit. Who's turning that down?
Hey, we finna lose 2 listeners talking about Harold Pinners like this. We finna be disowned, cuz.
I was
Herman,
that man of fashion.
That is Herman. I do not support, condone this type of blasphemy.
God.
Hey,
The
man,
Harold
it's all
Pinners
G,
brand.
man. It's all good. It's all good,
That's
man.
hilarious.
Oh man. And it's not Easter, so we good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That lavender suit.
Bro.
Lavender dog?
Hey, all right. So we talked about kind of toxic traits, right? God. The selflessness of a 40-year-old man, and the selfishness of a 20 to 30-year-old man. What other than age and maturity, what has allowed your current relationships to take on a more healthier tone?
Okay.
To level up its health, right? Like,
so
because we've all had trials and tribulations in our current relationships and our past ones that have been in our adulthood, but
So one interpersonal thing that I think is important is like your future vision, right? Like how that person fits into what you see for yourself in the future, right?
Yeah.
I think back to some relationships and I'm like, man, those were people that I just never would have seen in the future. They probably weren't in.
You probably weren't even looking.
I probably
didn't have a vision, right?
Right.
Yeah,
but I'm like, if you
you
have that vision, like, and you can communicate what that is,
Yeah.
then that person can either do things themselves to align and you guys can go down that path together, or you figure out their goals and like whatever it is, you can make it work for the two of you. Because I feel like you can see relationships that deviate because there is no long-term vision for certain, whether it's goals achieved or certain milestones achieved. Like sometimes you get so in the day-to-day that you don't think about where misaligned you are or how to align for at 40 what you want in the future.
Okay, so you're saying we need to have a brand strategy.
Not necessarily
Have a roadmap.
Not necessarily.
We all got to have ownership.
But it's like, when do you want to retire? How do you want to retire? What do you want to have in the bank? Do you want to have a second house in? I mean, like all of those things.
Everything comes back down to money with this guy.
Well,
Everything in the financial independence.
hey, look, man, if you see people lose that financial independence, or if you have lost that financial independence, it does become a driving factor because I've gone through all of a retirement and having to rebuild, right? Like I spend it on the right things, but I'm like, that rebuilding means you're starting behind. You got to start all over, which is okay, but you have to have a very clear vision and you can't deviate from, I mean, I don't love money, but I have to have it for this thing that I want for my family and for my kids.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, I'm joking, but it's typically the first place where your mind always goes. Like retirement was when you want to retire, girl. Okay, we can do it. Like Eamon and I we've never asked each other that question before. Now a lot of our long-term vision does, is about business and goals and, you know, and all that stuff. But yeah, that's interesting.
It's just a part of life, right? Like it's a part, like
Sure.
you're going to work. So where does that look? Are you in an industry that's going to flourish or one that's going to fail? Like, you know, like
Bro,
okay,
I gotta see the market analysis he did on Carly before he decided to pop the question.
Yeah.
Hey man, but that was the thing. The first thing she did was go back to school not too far after, you know, like marriage and stuff like that which was a huge setback, right? But it prompted her, propelled her
But you saw the
career.
long-term investment in it, and you was like, all right, I'm willing to do we'll do this. And, you know, you made it work.
You watch a person work, and I'm like, man, her greatest skill sets are never going to be rewarded in that environment because they don't pay for that kind of, specific stuff that she's really good at.
Yeah.
So she went back to school, retooled up, came out, doubled, and, you know, off to the races, which then changes. You know what I'm saying?
Dynamic,
Yeah, exactly. So
you had to level up.
yeah, but then you have two people that I'm like, it's like, okay, well, take a step back for all these steps forward. But some people don't see that. They'll see a step back and be like, well, this is too hard. I can't do it. And you didn't even know that you could handle what came with the burden of whether it's lack of resources, lack of time, lack of focus on you because the person needs to study and focus on their goals. But I'm like, that should be a thing that is a conversation that is mutual, that you are on the same page with.
Yeah.
And that you know it's going to be hard.
Yeah,
But
life plans, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and you got to make them together. Like, you know, I joke that Eamon and I did not have these conversations, which is true. I did because I was talking about sorry, babe. I was the ambitious one. Like, that's just wasn't her. She did not have any career goals. She wanted to be a wife and a mother since she was 4 years old. That was her goal, right? So I guess technically,
work is way easier.
She did not tell me this. Otherwise, I probably would have ran away very early in the relationship. She knew she was doing.
She chose you.
Hey,
I'm breeding.
it's another
with him.
episode.
I'm breeding with him.
Oh man, she was. I mean, yeah. Hey, man. You're not going down that road. Like I was saying. So like that wasn't her thing. It was mine. So was I communicating? I think so. Or was I running game back to these are my grand visions? I know I'm sleeping on my friend's couch and I don't have a car because
but believe him,
you know,
there's an international school coming in the future.
But which is funny because we both ended up in really strong relationships, probably dating people where we might have been at our lowest.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's like, man, anybody that can accept this version of me can see the bigger version of me.
1,000.
And it's funny because we have that conversation. Like, it's just crazy because who would have dated me at that time? Same to you, struggling out here, trying to find it, trying to realign. And it's like, I don't even think people were thinking at that. We were just coming out of the Great Recession, right? So it's like, but it still didn't matter. Like, you still felt like a broke whatever. But it's like, hey, man, if you can see
Take me or leave me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be something someday.
But I think that wisely, they were like, obviously, I mean, things were
Let me go ahead and invest in this little light-skinned guy, lift him up a little bit. He can sleep on my couch. But I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
T, what do you think contributes to your healthy relationship?
I think the biggest thing that has changed is, I think goals is pretty good in there, but I think that transparency.
You stop managing communications through an HR perspective.
I don't know.
And an HR software.
He's like, let me log in.
It's like, did you put that in Microsoft Teams?
Did you put me on a PIP today?
Yeah. Put this in the question portal, and
She's like, babe, I got
I'll respond to you in 48 to 72 hours.
they communicate through memos.
I think transparency helps because you hold things and then you never really get it out, and so I think that helps a little bit.
Transparency is like the hardest thing to achieve in the entire world.
It's also
let me say more, but I think not complete,
right?
But more.
Letting that person be
You're an opaque colored guy. I don't think you can fully be transparent.
Hey, look, letting that person be a part of your process and your choices, I think.
Inclusion. Yeah. That helps. It
Because
definitely helps.
especially for like people that like you're moving from selfish to needing to make cohesive decisions, and that is a hard transition.
Yeah, partnership is probably the biggest thing. That's a good point.
Listening to somebody else's opinion about your life.
I mean, kind of, right? Like,
yeah, it's hard.
It's or
Especially
you
when it's
immediately think
different.
they're wrong, right? Like,
Yeah.
which is weird because if you're actually listening, their perspective, which could be completely opposite, is exactly what you need to hear to weigh the thing that you haven't even seen.
But you got to be open in that shit.
Yeah, and some
The
people
other part
aren't,
of communication.
right? Like, which is weird to me.
Especially a black man that grew up in the middle,
Yeah.
and was stuck between black culture and white America his entire life. Absolutely, we got walls.
Yeah.
Oh, I just have a moment.
So we need to have a
And now the gun turns to 10.
Mac. Would you like to
Have some breakthroughs? No, I mean, for real. Like, we definitely have walls put up our entire life,
Bro.
growing up through these
Whether
relationships,
it's
thinking
not being black enough, like all of the things. I mean, honestly, it's like
right, or not being white enough when it was earlier, and that was the issue, bruh.
Like you can't be back in KC with those little dreads.
It's hilarious.
Do you have a picture you could put up on social media with your
When I had
hair choices?
cornrows,
Yeah, dog.
hell yeah, I got pictures from every stage.
This dude had the shortest hang
twisties.
time.
Hey,
My man
Which
had
is-
millimeters of hang time off the back, bro. He had the straight backs. Oh my
Bro.
God.
bro, my braider was skilled.
Your
That shit
neighbors
hurt so
in
bad.
Bentry were like, oh my God, is that a FUBU jersey? It was.
Oh man,
With cornrows?
and it's brown.
what's happened to him? Yeah, no, it's you do have walls, right? And you have to listen to someone's feedback who you're not sure understands your complete journey. So they're kind of just swooping in and making an assessment, and you don't. It's hard to be able to listen to that, and it's hard to be able to respond to that because you respond vehemently, you know. So it's that's a tough one, man.
Next time on Interracial Dating Part 3. Can she respect your journey
Yeah.
when they're so different?
Yep. Yeah, man.
You want to unpack that more? I mean, I can push pause and we can just talk about it.
Nothing there's nothing to that. I think when you talk about it, it's not necessarily.
There's something to
Yeah.
it. That's
It's-
a huge component.
well, there's nothing I'm honing in on specifically.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's a problem. It is a big thing to.
But it's not even like it is. It doesn't even have to be interracial. Like it's just literally not knowing how a person manifested themselves
Right,
into where they
how
are
they got
today.
there, yes.
Like not understanding, what the thought processes are, and then getting that assessment. You're like, hold on, you're wrong. So it's more so about just not being intuitive than the race.
Yeah.
Back to communication,
Yeah.
right? Transparency, openness, vulnerability. Vulnerability from a black man is very hard to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least one that grew up in the 80s.
Yep.
Maybe not none that grew up in the 2000s. They a little more
Maybe
sensitive
they're
and
a
in
little
tune with their
sensitive.
emotions.
Yeah.
His daddy told him they loved him.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, that's that confidence that gets built that allows you to be vulnerable because like whatever it is, whatever the answers are, whatever you don't want to hear, like you still good. Like I've never not felt good because I know my parents did a great job just building confidence. So I was never scared to ask tough questions. One, you find out exactly what you need. If it hurts too much, and it's like, okay, well, I don't have to, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's cool. I mean, I grew up completely different. Like, you know, I spent most of my time only child in it, right? So I didn't ask any questions.
Yeah. But I think it takes maturity to even know what are the right questions. But also, you know, sometimes it's not the right questions. It's how you respond to the feedback, right? Like it's not letting something fester and linger because you hated so much what they said.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Except for taking it with what it is. But that also comes with how connected you are. Like, do they have intention beyond? Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think another piece to just being in a healthy relationship is being healthy independently. And, you know, that is something that our relationship, you know, my marriage has been working on over the last 4 years. And we've, you know, back to balance, right? You got to be good individually to be great together. I think that is so true. And, you know, that's probably part of the reason why men mature at 40, because it took me 40 years to get to this level of authentic confidence, right? It wasn't just ego anymore. Like, it's actual confidence. Like, because I've achieved these things in life, I've bumped my head, learned these lessons. And so now I've evolved to this point where we can work independently and together. And it, you know, it took wifey a minute to get there, right? Because if I go back to what she wanted to be when she grew up, fucking servant, right? She wanted to serve others, a mother and a wife, and so it took, that was her biggest challenge, was thinking about herself first. So complete yin and yang here, right? The most selfless person, you know, helping me mature over the last 15, 16 years. And now,
but no,
did I just say my wife raised me? I think I just said my wife raised me.
It is,
and now she can go raise herself.
But that's the thing. If she's not helping you go down a path, because I'm like, even that is a path doesn't mean that, like, if that is a goal that she still wants, well, maybe that pathway is being supportive or building her own business to help amplify how quickly you can get there to where she can back down, not have to work, or not that parenting isn't work. But I'm like, that can be built into a plan. It's just, you know, understanding that you got to do what you got to do to get there. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's how it panned out for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, because it's weird because some people are like, a stay-at-home mom doesn't necessarily have to be a stay-at-home mom forever, right? Like, it can be a moment in time.
The stay-at-home mom has evolved.
Oh, 100%.
Stay-at-home moms run businesses.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, yeah, that's a whole
other
great
conversation. But I'm just
saying,
a great
conversation.
I feel like that
I know Eamon wants to have, because she may or may not have told me that 2 weeks ago.
I know, but then it's like, if you want to do that, then I need to make $300,000 a year, and I'm not going to go be a doctor or an attorney, or even if I was to, I'm not going to be the premier one. I just do just enough to make a certain amount.
Just the base salary.
But it's like, okay, well, then how am I going to get there?
I think she knows that. That's why she went back to school.
Which could also be something where I'm sure now she's feeling like, man, it would be nice to not have to do or manage all of the stress behind these heavier jobs. And I'm like, cool. Well, just, you know, send business my way and I'll
support your man.
You know what I'm saying? And take it from there.
That's interesting.
That
might be another episode to unpack.
I mean, but
I think that, all right, so now that we are, you know, we're at this midlife, it's not a crisis. It is a complexity.
Midlife excellence.
Midlife excellence. All right. So,
that's a t-shirt.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Right. I do like that.
Coming soon. Like in the
middle. So, all right. So we're at this level of midlife excellence. I am curious to the Watsons growth plan. Where are the Watsons, Carly and Herman, independently and together in 5 years, in 10 years, what that looks like? And you don't have to answer that now because we're at time. But I would love to unpack that.
We can, because I actually do have a vision.
Do you?
It's lightweight.
And are y'all on the same page of this vision?
Yeah, I think so. But it's just like, be patient.
Yeah. and then we'll do an episode behind your back with Carly.
She'll be like, he ain't done it.
That's what he said.
Well, he is failing.
That would probably be the funniest fucking episode.
Yeah,
ever.
Do it, man.
She's hilarious.
Do it.
So it would be hilarious.
We got to get her on the pod though.
Do it, man. Whatever, man. Just don't have her like try to stay on and be cracking jokes and shit like that. And then I'm at the house with the kids.
Bro, it's gonna be all pre-production with Carly.
Oh shit! How'd this happen?
Yeah, you just agreed to it. Done.
Shit.
Nate, lock it up. Get her on the schedule.
Get on the schedule.
All right. Well, I can say that it feels pretty good to really feel and believe and say out loud that I'm very happy with my relationship. We're in a very balanced place in this journey. And I'm excited to talk about the vision of our future of your guys' relationships future, like how that will evolve, because this is kind of 40 is kind of like, all right, you get a chance to stop, assess, set those new goals, right?
Yeah.
Because you have this new perspective on life. I mean, I definitely do. It feels like the vision, the path is a lot more clear,
Right.
Through the lessons that we've learned and the things that we know now, and the stuff that we know we don't know,
Bro,
even.
And I think it's that where like also it amplifies, right? So I'm like 4 years ago, I could not have imagined how quickly shit would have ramped up over the past 2 or 3, maybe 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just like hyper. But I made a lot of changes, in that time, and I was pretty hyper focused on, certain things, stability, things like that, which now I'm like, okay, well now we can expand this vision and things that have been brought up. Maybe now they will also amplify as fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Let's do it.
Let's get it.